Hi, this is Mark from Logspedia. So today what we are going to do is install Schlage Encode. But before we do that, let's just take a look at the parts which came in the box. So first of all, this is the exterior assembly. It contains a keypad and a keyway. If you look at the interior side of the assembly, what we see is the long spindle which will go through the door hole. And this is a wire plug which will plug into the socket of the interior assembly. Now this is the interior assembly. It comes back with the cover on. It houses a thumb turn, and when we remove this cover, we have the programming button here, and the programming code is also mentioned over here. The battery cover is here. You remove that and then you plug in the battery when you have inserted the batteries, right? Now on this side, this is the socket where this wire will go into. The spindle, after passing through the door hole, will fit into this. These are the 4 AA alkaline cells which came along with the box, so we'll be using that. In fact, the same brand cells came along with the Quickset Hello as well. This is the mounting plate. This will go on the interior side of the door. This plate does 2 things. First, it helps tighten the exterior assembly. Second is that it provides base for the interior assembly. I'll show you when we do the installation. This is the bolt which came along with the box. There is a very interesting feature over here. If your backset is more than 70 mm long, you can actually extend the bolt. But since in my case the backset is not more than 70 mm, I'll just keep it like this. Along with this, the necessary screws came along with the box. We'll be using them. So now let's just move on to the door and see how to install the Schlage Encode. So let's just come back to the door. This is the door where we will be installing Schlage Encode. Schlage Encode installation involves 8 to 9 easy steps. The number 1 step is to remove the old deadbolt. Second step is to make sure that your door is prepared according to the dimensions of the lock. Third step is to install the latch or the bolt. Fourth step is to install the exterior assembly which will go on the outer side of the door. Fifth step is then to install or to add the mounting plate. Sixth step is to install or add the interior assembly. Seventh step is to do the strike plate. Eighth step is to install the batteries into the interior assembly so that the door handling process can take place. And final last step is to integrate the lock with the app so that you can control the lock from the app itself. So as I mentioned, the first step was about removing the old deadbolt. I've already done that for the sake of this video. Let's just move on to the second step, which was about the door preparation. Now Schlage says that your door thickness should at least be 35 mm. So in my case it is 35 mm. The second requirement is that your backset. Now backset is what? The distance between the center of the hole to the edge of the door is less than 70 mm. If it is less than 70 mm, then you can use the bolt in the original shape. If it is more than 70 mm, then you will have to extend the bolt. So in my case it is less than 70 mm, so I will be using the bolt as it is. The third step was to add the latch or the bolt now. So let's just do that. So once the door is prepared, the next step is to install the bolt. Now if you see closely, there is a top written on the bolt. This side will go on the upper side of the door hole. So let me just push it inside. You will need a Phillips screwdriver to tighten the screws. So let me just do that now. So we have just completed the third step. Now it's time to add the exterior assembly. So after we have installed the bolt, the next step is to add the exterior assembly. This is a very easy step, will take only a couple of minutes to do that. You just have to pass the spindle through this black gap. This wire will go under through the bolt. So let me just do this. The first step is to make sure the wire passes through the gap between, and then the spindle is passed. So now this is done. Now what we need to do is we need to use these long screws to tighten the external assembly. So before you tighten the screws, what you will need to do is you will need to add this mounting plate. Now if you see, it is written against door, so this side will go on the side of the door and this will face you. Now let's just put this. The black socket will pass through this, spindle will pass through the central hole. Now the long screws will go in here and here. The long screws will tighten the exterior assembly with the mounting plate. I have tightened the long screws. You can see the mounting plate as well as the exterior assembly is stable. The next step is to add the interior assembly. Now this socket, this wire will go into this socket. The spindle will go in this gap. So let me just now attach it. This is attached and it's time for me to add the spindle in here. Here you go. After this is done, what we need to do is we need to tighten the screws in these places. So I have tightened these screws. The internal assembly is also attached. Next step is to add the batteries. So let's just add the batteries in here and let's see what happens. So we have inserted the batteries. These two metal plates will face you when you are inserting this battery pack into the desired place. Now the battery is installed. Just take a look at what happens on the door. Right. So the door is configured. When you install the door, the lock for the first time, it goes into the door handling process. What happens in the door handling process is the lock tries to gauge the orientation of the door. So what happens in that is that the bolt will extend and retract once or a couple of times sometimes to gain where the orientation, whether it is on the left side or the right side of the door. So that's what the door handling process is. Once the door handling process happens successfully, you will see a plus sign as you saw here on the lock. Second last step is to add the strike plate. Since I already had a deadbolt in place, so the strike plate or the gap was already there in the door jamb. So I am using the same door jamb. I've just replaced this strike plate which came along with the Schlage Encode. Otherwise, in terms of the gap, the width and the height, it is absolutely same. Voila, your Schlage Encode is installed now. There's only one last step that is remaining. It is to integrate the lock with the app. So download Schlage Home app and the app will guide you through what needs to be done to integrate the lock with the app. Okay. I hope the video was helpful and do like and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much once again.